And the moment you've all been waiting for, New York Knicks basketball is back.
Let's go! Take notes. Big Beach.
We're here.
My man, Alex.
It's different this time.
What's up, guys? Go!
What's up, guys? Terry and Trey here, and we are both so excited to watch real basketball and to not be over analyzing every little thing that every single player does. all the coaches, all the coaching stuff. We're gonna actually watch some real basketball. I know you're hella excited, Terry.
This feels like Knicksmas Eve. I've been hype all day long, bouncing off the walls, like you said. We have to look and see what Tibbs looked at on his watch at 2 minutes and 45 seconds in his interview on day 3 of training camp. None of that. Training camp is over. We are on the way to Detroit. The players, the pictures, they were getting ready to go on the plane. They have their mask on. It's beautiful. We're playing the Pistons tomorrow night. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern time. So excited, but we have some news today. Some news that you don't know about.
I hope you're gonna tell me they changed that Friday Night Knicks jingle. Like, that's what I hope you're gonna tell me.
You know what's funny about that song? People have been posting it all day. The Friday Night Knicks song is one of those songs that's very good and very bad at the same time.
I sing it in my head all the time. I sing it all the time.
Friday night, MHG's the place to be. You gotta get down. Oh man, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited. I have to cut that from the video before I get banned from YouTube. Anyway, guys, so you have not seen that we have a new city uniform, and I know you haven't seen it because I asked you if you saw it. You said no.
I have
and you
not
should not
seen
lie
it.
to your
I
children.
have not seen it. Unveiling.
I'm gonna show it to you now, and we're gonna get your raw reaction.
Oh, this is different.
It's interesting. So a lot of people don't like it, right? Then a lot of people really like it. I actually think, to be honest, I do not hate it nearly as much as most people. The one thing I kind of don't like about it is the fact that when you see it, right? City never sleeps, New York Knicks. I hate the fact that the New York Knicks is, the Knicks is upside down, right? Does not seem from a design standpoint.
Gotcha.
I would feel like I would much prefer, like, instead of where City never sleeps is, that's where New York Knicks would be. So the Knicks would literally be at the top.
You should be working in the New York Knicks organization. There's a couple of things that you could tell them. I'm going to tell you one more thing later on. Tell you one thing about the jersey. So I love black on black on anything. So
you're liking this. Somebody said,
I love the flip side. However, what I don't like is that blue and orange on the side, to me, are not really blue and orange Knicks colors, if you know what I mean. It's like blue, white, and red is what it looks like.
Right, like the popsicle. Outside of that, we had a little fun thing that happened today. Austin Rivers and Obi Toppin. Austin being the vet, letting Obi know
what we're gonna have in New York City.
Exactly. So Obi says
Burger King.
Obi says Burger King is better than Chick-fil-A.
It's not Burger King.
It's not
Chick-fil-A. It's Burger, folks.
If you guys don't know, this is our family business. We actually have some episodes of Basketball Bites, for example, a show where we kind of, talk basketball, sit with people, and we did this with Jonathan Macri, so I'm going to leave a link for that below. Definitely check that out.
And Andre Royo, don't forget from The
Wire.
And
Andre Royo from The Wire, if you remember Bubbles from The Wire. So here's the deal, guys. We're trying to get Obi Toppin and Austin Rivers to, I know it's COVID, so maybe they can't come, but even, we can maybe figure out a way to get them the food, let them try it. I would love to see Obi put our burger against Burger King. So guys, if you follow our Twitter, and Twitter's right below, please go retweet the tweet and tag Obi and Austin. Really appreciate it. Family business. So that'll be cool. But
we make our burgers fresh. We make our burgers fresh from scratch.
Make our burgers fresh meat. All right, guys, that's it. Let's get into training camp and some of our takeaways. First off, what are your thoughts? Tibbs all week talking defense, athleticism. We're gonna run, we're gonna do this. How do you feel about Tibbs and what you've heard from him heading into finally getting to see some preseason games?
Loving it. Obviously, very experienced coach. We know he's coming here and giving us a whole different caliber of coaching for this team. So, one of the things that he said specifically in the training camp video was that he really loves the rookies, loves their work ethic, loves that they're hardworking people, says that they're being very diligent, and says that they're doing all the right things. Now, I wonder if that was a side eye or a slight to Mitch, because we heard that he said the opposite about Mitch, right? So here's the thing about Coach Tibbs, from what I understand, is that he really plays the veterans. He likes to play his veteran guys. However, we have a young team.
No veteran.
There are no veterans. Well, we have a scattering of veterans that we sort of.
Well, the thing is, I think Reggie Bullock is the oldest guy on the team, if I'm not mistaken, and he's like 30. So,
okay.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think that Tibbs is going to be in a position now where he almost has to play these young guys, which would be great for us. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. We want to see you play your draft picks, all of them, and let them just kind of run wild and run amok. I think the biggest thing for me, or from also what he said, was that, so because we didn't have Summer League this year, the guys lacked a lot of practice that they would normally get. And remember, Summer League, they're not playing against NBA stars or professional NBA players. Summer League, they're playing against kind of their peers, if you will. So the same guys that just came up from college, right? And so I think it's going to be a huge difference. And I've heard a couple of the guys already say this. When they watch on TV, the pace of the game seems to be a lot slower. However, when they're actually there now on the court, with the NBA, it's a different game. And I've always said that, because obviously these guys are playing in college, they're at the top of their game. They get into the NBA, now they're almost at the bottom of their game, right? Because they have to build to that level. And I remember when we sat courtside, yes, I'm throwing it out there, when we got the amazing opportunity, what's up to Andrew?
Shout out to Andrew Nasty, our MSG guy at the Knicks.
How different the game was when you're that close, because it's way more aggressive, definitely quicker, and the court, is a lot bigger than it kind of seems when you're watching it from afar. Yeah,
well, actually, I would say, in a weird way, the court seems smaller to me, as in the spaces they had to move in. They're such big humans, their bodies are massive. Right. So I remember, like, Hezonja, that was the year Mario Hezonja was here, and I'm watching him drive into the paint. And on TV, I'd be screaming at him like, oh, you should have finished that. But in the game, I was like, there are like 3 guys for 7 feet and there's no space. So definitely true. I think these guys are seeing an adjustment. We're going to talk more about Emmanuel quickly later. But one thing that Tibbs did say is that quickly, he's as good a shooter as we've seen in the NBA, at like NBA level. But he has to work on the other parts of his game. And I think what Tibbs was kind of referencing there was the idea that, like, the NBA just asks so much more of you. Right? So you're going to just have to, little things you're going to have to figure out and learn. And we've obviously seen our young guys going through a lot of growing pains the past few years. So my main takeaway is Tibbs talking defense, talking athleticism. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be running up and down the court. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it because while Fizdale did say a lot of this stuff, I couldn't trust him to do it. And I did trust him and I was burned. With Tibbs, I feel like, okay, he's really going to do this. He's going to hold guys accountable on defense. I'm excited to see some of these guys that we were really annoyed by last year. I want to see how much better they are with a strict coach. So Tibbs, like I said, hopefully he's that baseline coach that can get us to a really good level, and I really do trust it. Training camp seems to have gone well. Positive signs for most players. I know you want to talk about somebody later. But speaking of positive signs, so you don't know this. I kind of threw you under the bus like a day and a half ago.
Okay.
I'm going to run the clip. I'm going to run the clip.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have your mom on as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna get her here next time for sure. She's got a lot of hot takes. She's not a fan of Knox. So she's waiting on Kevin.
Oh no, Trey.
We're pretty excited. She's gonna hate me for saying that out front.
It's all good. It's all good. You know why? I will own it. You know why? Because I will. What do you talk about? I don't want to say I will eat shit, but what do you talk about when you?
Yeah, you gotta eat some
when you
shit.
go back, right? Okay, let me tell you something. Out of every media interview that I saw, Kevin Knox by far and away was the best interview. And believe it or not, Kevin Knox is the person that I'm actually most excited to see.
Let's go, Kevin.
Okay.
Let's go, Kevin. All right.
So let me tell you. So here's the deal.
Yo, Professor Trey, you put on the glasses.
So we know how media day goes, right? Everyone has to sort of answer politically correct, and everyone kind of skates around the subjects and says that the right things they're supposed to say. Knox gave solid points about what he was doing specifically. He spoke specifically about working with the coaches, with the training staff and the coaches, the new coaches he has. He spoke about working on his offense. He said that he actually said, I'm doing really well offensively. Like he said that, and defensively. He said that he's got his upper and lower body stronger. He said he's taking his conditioning to another level. He said that he wants to fly up and down the court this year, which is different from last year, and that everyone was pushing him all summer. On top of that, Tom Thibodeau mentioned 2 players that he has seen improvements with in their conditioning and them playing during our brief training. And one of them was Kevin Knox. So I am happy to see a turnaround with him if that's what's going to happen. It's year 3. That's what's supposed to happen. And I will eat all the, I'm not finding the word I'm trying to change.
I know.
Humble
I
pie.
know.
Humble pie, is that it? I'll eat humble pie.
Yeah, humble pie. That's
I will
a
eat all
PG
the humble
friendly
pie.
version.
I have no question about that. I will eat all the humble pie if Kevin can come out and have a great season this year. Who's your starting 5?
Well, it's like, I don't know what my starting 5 is. You mean mine or Tibbs? Because like they're so different.
Well,
You know what I mean?
Okay. I would say yours because for me, I have my starting 5 as who I would like to see Tibbs put on the court as the starting 5.
I'll give you a mix. It's kind of like what I want and what I think is gonna happen all in one.
Okay.
I think Dennis Smith Jr. is the point guard. I think RJ's the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think Alec Burks is the 3, or they can like switch back and forth. I think Randall's the 4, and I think Nerlens Noel is the 5.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm leaning. At least to start the year. Now, just real quick, Tibbs did say today, they asked him about the lineups, and he said something which triggered me because Fizdale said the same thing. But again, I trust I think Fizdale had the right words off the court, but Tibbs is going to have that and the right thing on the court. He basically said he's not going to have a set lineup to start. He's going to go into the season. He's still not, he doesn't think it's going to be solidified, before the season starts or even into the season, which is something that Fizz used to say. But the thing with Fizz that bothered me is we'd be 2-3 months in and he'd still be experimenting. And I'm like, dude, lock something down. So that he did say that. So we'll see a couple things tomorrow and in preseason. But let me hear your starting 5.
I would like to see Quickly start at the number 1.
Oh, I would love that, but
with Frank coming off the bench. I would like to see RJ at the 2. With Burks coming off. Yep. I would like to see Kevin at the 3 with Reggie Bullock coming off.
All right, you got backups. Let's go.
Yep. Now, I actually kind of do want to see Randall start. I kind of feel 2 ways about this, to be honest. And on one part of me, I feel like, well, yeah, he should start. He was the pick. But also, I feel like Randall needs to kind of also be giving an opportunity to sort of prove himself. And seeing, as Tibbs already said, that Randall and Knox were the 2 names that he called, I would like to see Randall start and have Obi as the backup. And I want Mitchell to start as the center with Nerlens Noel as the backup, only because Mitch is supposed to have earned that position. And so I almost kind of want to put him there in the spotlight. Like, oh, you're supposed to be the starting center? Let me see you. So,
I love it.
So almost a kind of like, show me what you got. So that's my starting lineup and my backup.
I love it. You know what's funny? I like everything you said better than what I said. I like your lineup way more. I mean, the truth is, like, so IQ, I'm a big Quickly fan. We'll talk about him a little bit later. I love Emmanuel Quickly. I don't really think he's going to start, but if you're telling me Quickly's in the backcourt and he's shooting those threes, that gets me so excited. And your justification for everything was on point. This should be the Trey and Trey channel. I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to get off. I say I talk too much anyway, so let's get it. No, great stuff. I love it. That's a great lineup.
So training camp is over. Give me your biggest takeaway or takeaways from all the training camp.
So, we spoke about the defense, we spoke about what they want to do. We've heard it all before. I do really like this group. It sounds like camp was really good. For me, I'm really interested in the 3 point guards. Funny enough, we haven't heard a thing about Elfrid Payton the entire week. I don't think he's even done another interview. Interesting. I don't know if it's almost like they already know he's going to start or they already know he's going to be the backup and there's no really much debate. But I want to focus on the young guys quickly, Frank and Dennis Smith Jr. Emmanuel Quickly's attitude and energy is infectious. He reminds me of De'Aaron Fox, right? De'Aaron Fox has that kind of vibe about him. And every time Quickly talks, every time he says something, I'm like, yes, I love it. The Knicks posted a video this morning of him kind of like getting into the facility.
It's a great day today. Great day to get some work in. We locked in today. Let's get better. You know it.
but personalities matter. And when I see him, I just feel like, okay, this is a guy who's gonna come here, play hard. He's not scared of the limelight. I told you, he feels to me like American Frank, right? So he's more, obviously they don't play the same. Quickly's a great shooter. So at Frank, Frank's shooting has always been an issue. So I think, not really the play style, but more like team guy, wants to do the right thing, but also has that little bit of swagger that you need to survive in the NBA. And I think Frank has developed it a little bit. You see it coming out, but Frank feels like the younger brother who's like finally coming out of his shell, whereas Quickly feels like that's just his demeanor and he's got it. Dennis Smith Jr., I want to talk about him as well. I definitely sense a difference in Dennis Smith Jr., just his demeanor. Tibbs has said he's been aggressive. Dennis Smith Jr. had a horrible year last year. I'm not the biggest fan of his play style, and I wasn't even when he was drafted. But I do know who he was last year is not who he really is. So I'm happy, his stepmom died, he had injury issues, gets booed off the court, there was a lot going on. So I do know that he's, he has fans in the organization that like him. He looks a lot more comfortable. And even his media interviews, he said he grew as a man this year. And I could feel it. Like Kevin, you're saying, I could feel it was really cut off the hair. He's back to the buzz cut with the short hair like he was in college. I get a really good vibe from Dennis Smith Jr. I think he knows, obviously, contract year, he's got to get it done this year, or his job could be up for grab, in the NBA. So good to see. Yeah. I'm rooting for Dennis Smith Jr., hoping for a better year from him. Frank Ntilikina, the man everybody wants to talk about, had some good things to say today. They asked him about the point guard position, and he immediately pivoted to talking about being able to play multiple positions. So it sounds to me like Tibbs is definitely going to have Frank not really as the point guard, but playing as a 2, maybe a 3, some point guard duties. That is actually good for Frank, because I think if he was only a point guard, he wouldn't get on the court. It would be hard for him this season. I think you're going to hear Tibbs use him in specific ways. Tibbs has this real love for players on his team that can't really play offense. He's done it with the Bulls, and he did it a little bit with the Timberwolves. So I don't think, Frank is much better in offense than some other guys, even though he still has issues there. I just want to see that next step up. End of last season, we saw a lot of growth, and he's got to build on that this year. And lastly, Miles Powell, obviously the hometown hero. I call him like a homeless version of Damian Lillard. No disrespect to Miles. Damian Lillard is just that good. But one thing he said, and I really loved it, and this is important for players coming into the league. We talk about this all the time, right? When you come to the NBA, you're one of the best players in your city, town, state, college, region. Then you get to the league and you're like one of the worst players, right? It's a big change. So the way you play going up to the NBA completely changes the second you get to the league. So a lot of guys, they have the talent and the skill, but they have no idea how to now go from being the best player with the ball all the time to a guy that plays 3 minutes and does not have the ball. It's a big change. And that's why you see some guys who are not as good make it in the NBA because they know how to play their role and do what's required. And some guys who have the skill not doing it. So Miles Powell said something that I really, really loved. They asked him about, players that he looks at, who he thinks he can be. And before that, he even spoke about, playing his role and doing the right thing. But then he said, I want to be Patty Mills. Well, not like I want to be Patty Mills, but Patty Mills is an idea for him. And I love it. Patty Mills, obviously with the Spurs for a number of years now, really good point guard, plays his role, can score, but doesn't try to do too much. The fact that Miles Powell was saying that, and not Steph Curry or Damian Lillard or Kyrie Irving, to me means his head is in the right place. He's likely going to be in the G League to start, but I just really like the idea that he's coming into the NBA with that skill set, but also knowing that to succeed in the NBA, he can't try to be the star that he was before. He has to earn it first as this kind of role player guy, and then build upon it.
Just really quickly to talk about Miles Powell really quick. He also said that has always been the underdog.
Yeah.
To being in that position. So he is more hungry than the other players. He has more to prove, I think. I think that's been his, he was a lot heavier, right? At one point in his life as well.
He was big. He was, a couple years ago, yeah, he had the typical New York diet, right, so New Jersey diet.
So he's a person that knows about putting in a lot. He's a person that has come from behind, I think, and knows about putting in a lot of hard work and effort. He talks all the time about being from Trenton, New Jersey, and that I'm not even supposed to be here. He says that, and I think he means that. So for him, being in the NBA means so much more for him than a lot of the other guys. My two, I would say, big takeaways. One of the things that Tibbs also spoke about, or rather that he was asked the question, was about the three-point shooting. And we have not in the past have anyone that was a three-point shooter for us, right? So we're making some adjustments there. But one of the things that he said was, that there are other ways to score, which we all know, going from the three-point line. you know, getting those and ones, and like, you know, there's other ways to get points. And as the Knicks, I think we have seen so many games that we have lost just because we weren't able to make our free throws.
Oh yeah.
So I think if we can focus on that, will be great for us. But
RJ.
I would say my other takeaway from training camp was that I'm going to include Miles Powell in this as well. But Miles Powell, Obi Toppin, and Emmanuel Quickly all, to me, seem to be so excited, like genuinely excited to come and play. And I know, because not everyone that's playing NBA is excited to get on the court. Maybe they're nervous, maybe they're feeling apprehensive, maybe their confidence is not great. The three of them seem to be like ready and like raring to go. Like I get that energy from them. Like they are like in their car, like ready to hit the gas. So that's the feeling and the sense that I get from them. So I cannot wait for tomorrow night's game to watch those three players specifically, and Kevin Knox. And I'll be wearing my Kevin Knox shirt tomorrow.
Yeah, here you go.
Because I definitely am excited to see those guys play. So
I'm excited to be back. Knicks basketball.
Why don't you go over by me and watch it from?
Well, here's the thing. So I'm going over my mom's, and what we're gonna do is we're considering it. Let me know if what you guys think in the comments below. We're considering going live for the end of the game and going right into our post game right after. So we'll see. We haven't gone live before on the channel, which is crazy. I went live recently this week with Knicks Media. Shout out to him. He's been doing his thing, Richie. And I've been live before, like CP and stuff at Knicks Fan TV. But we're thinking maybe we start showing you guys how we are watching the game, because I can promise you, you have no idea how crazy we get. No idea how crazy we get. Thank you for watching. If you're excited for Knicks basketball, give us a like. Subscribe if you're new here for the first time. Thank you for watching, guys. Knicks basketball back tomorrow. Honestly, it's been 9 months since Rudy Gobert touched all the stuff, and the NBA and the NBA shut down,
and the NBA collapsed.
Right. So I actually have to say this. You know, I had COVID. You know, early in the year. Thankfully, you've been good the whole time. It's been a really tough year. If any of you have lost anyone, have been affected by COVID, or heart goes out to you, it's been a really crazy year. We're at the end of it, and I'm hoping like Knicks basketball can bring all of New York, hopefully all of New York, some joy and, you know, something, a welcome distraction from the year we're in, because it's definitely been tough for everyone. All right.
All right.
Peace.